You're going to use some tools that you may not have in your shop to assemble the Hobby CNC board. The first are precision pliers. These have a small tip on them and will be useful for pulling components through the board. Next, you're going to need some flush cutters. You'll use these to cut off the excess leads from components on the board. Then you'll need a multimeter, something that can read voltage and resistance. Then you'll need something to solder with. It's preferable that whatever you solder with has a fine tip. You'll need some small diameter solder. This is 25 thousandths diameter. In case you have some stubborn solder joints, you'll need some flux. And to clean off excess flux, you will need some rubbing alcohol. And you'll do that with some Q-tips. Last, you're going to need a magnifying glass, and preferably one with a strong light source. You'll use this to inspect the board once you're done soldering, to look for solder bridges and other things that may short out components on the board. Soldering components onto the board is easy. You want to use as little heat as possible. To do that, we're going to put just a dab of solder onto the end of our soldering iron, and then we're going to hold that against the lead of the component. Then we're going to add in just enough solder so that the solder flows from the top of the joint to the bottom of the joint on the other side of the board. The next step is to cut off the excess leads for each component. So to do that, we're going to use our flush cutters and simply snip them away. You want to leave about 1/8 of an inch from the board. Next, use your magnifying glass and inspect all of the solder joints. Pay close attention to joints that are close together, such as these two. Make sure you did not create a solder bridge. A solder bridge will short out components and ensure that the board doesn't work. After you complete the basic construction of the board, you want to put some power to the board and make sure that you didn't make any errors installing components. The test is really simple. Simply connect the power line to TB5, set your voltage meter to read volts in DC, put your negative probe on the minus part of TB5, and place your positive probe on the test pad. You'll see that we have 5 volts here and we have installed all the components correctly. Now it's time to set VREF. VREF controls how much current goes to each stepper motor. We're going to power the board using our modified computer power supply, put our minus probe on the minus side of TB5, and our positive probe on the test pad for each circuit. For this circuit we need 3.99 volts, so we're going to use our screwdriver to adjust the potentiometer until we see 3.99 volts. Music for this video provided by Mevio's Music Alley. Check it out at music.mevio.com.